Ladies and gentlemen, we're expecting some moderate turbulence.
Please remain seated and enjoy the show.
Hello.
And welcome to
Moderate turbulence.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Adele.
Hi, Adele.
Hi, Jeremy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How's Roxy? Oh, I said her name. Oh, she's cute.
She's good. She celebrated Halloween. She was the only one of us who did. She had a little angel wing costume yesterday. So we walked around on her usual daily walk with it's a little hoodie with wings. Well, Jeremy could put pictures up here and we can share on our Instagram as well. But I mean, it was low key, very low key, because we really didn't do anything. We kind of drove back from Calgary. I mean, we're going to get into it, all of it, but yeah, so Roxy had a Halloween costume because we bought it back in August, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really a costume, but she had wings on and it was cute.
Little angel wings, and it says little angel on it. So we'll put pictures up here of her, of our cute little Roxy. So what are we talking about today?
Well, we've just finished one whole year of doing initial flight attendant training. We did 5 phases pretty much back to back in the last year. We've been in this hotel to do training for one whole year now, like a year exactly. I've been here. We've been here together for one whole year. So I had the idea and Jeremy agreed to do this, to just kind of talk about the year that we've had, you know, what we've learned, what we've experienced, just like the craziness of everything. And then
how crazy it's been for not our airline specifically, but all airlines. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah, I mean, it's still post-COVID times. The aviation industry was hit hard during the pandemic. So everyone was in recovery mode, including our airline. So, you know, why did we have that many phases? Because of COVID, pretty much. That is just the short answer. Yeah. So, you know, you've done initial before. You've been doing training. We've talked about that. However, this was my first experience in the training center, training flight attendants, and just experiencing that side of things. So, but it was also a different year for you because of the post-COVID happening. So we're going to talk about just everything that's happened, you know, things we've learned, things that we've enjoyed, and just kind of do a year in review.
An initial year in review. That's right. So first of all, yes, we did 5. I mean, technically there was more than that, but we did 5 phases of initial back to back to back to back, with 1 to 2 weeks in between each phase. And that's kind of like a cool down period almost. And yeah, it was a different type of year and a different type of initial. Initial traditionally, at least what I've experienced, there's a lot of, I don't want to say bells and whistles, but there's a lot of hoopla. There's a lot of, you know, momentum behind it. There's a lot of making everybody feel amazing about being there. And this year was a little bit different. Not because, you know, the company didn't care or anything like that, but because we literally had to get bodies trained on the line to work the flights. We were short flight attendants, just like almost every industry, not just every airline. We were short flight attendants and needed to get people trained and working and back on the line and keep the airline going, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, COVID hit, people decided not to come back, people retired, people were just on leaves because they couldn't work, and a lot of people got sick. People were still getting COVID. We got COVID back in April. So, you know, we were called back. The industry, travel in general, picked up in the past year. However, COVID didn't disappear. It's still not gone, and it slowly became less and less of an issue. However, we still experienced a lot of COVID-ness in the past year, you know. Phase 1, we actually had to pause because too many people were catching COVID, instructors and
participants,
our new flight attendant in training. So, you know, at some point we as a training environment in general had to make the decision, do we continue and lose one person per day because they're sick, or do we, you know, stop let everyone recover and then continue so we can keep these people.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we were able to keep a lot of these great people that were sick. And
some have become friends.
yeah, exactly. So it's just, that was, a lot because everyone was getting sick. Of course, we were still wearing masks and distancing, and all these protocols were still on in the training center. However, when it comes to initial training, the participants and the instructors, just everyone is just in a initial bubble essentially for those 7 weeks. Everybody's together. The classmates are together in class, and they're sitting pretty much the distance of you and me right now.
Yep.
So the social distancing in class doesn't really apply. And then they were doing practicals and touching things and using things and walking around, using the washrooms. So, I mean, as careful as people can be, people, of course, were still catching COVID,
And I mean, some of the protocols, some of the safety protocols we had in place included anytime people would touch our practical equipment, we would wipe it down with disinfectant wipes. And so we had, it extended a lot of our procedures because it wasn't just you open a door. It's okay, you open a door. Now I have to go and wipe every surface that you touch down so that the next participant who opens the door has a clean door. Then they have to do it. And then I have to do it for my entire class of 25. And then your class of 25. And then the other 4 classes. So you can imagine, number one, how many wipes we go through. Number two, how much longer things take. It's not just, okay, your turn to open the door. Now we have to go through this whole sanitization process in between. So it really extended some of our days because of all of the added safety precautions, which were necessary with all of the COVID going on. So, there's a lot more hurdles that we had to jump through to get successful initials completed. And yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah. And then we've, had breaks in between, but then we pretty much from phase 1 until phase 8 that we just completed in the past year, literally a year of training. We quote unquote disappeared from the training center for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then the day we got back, every single time it was day 1 again. So we never eased in or eased out of any of the phases. It was just stop,
go.
Pause, go again.
Yeah.
And in February we were able to go on that cruise.
Yeah, which was nice.
So that was enjoyable.
We had,
Still
2
COVID
weeks off. So yeah.
Cruising was my first cruise. So that was enjoyable. So that was fun. Then we came back and started again end of February until end of March. No, end of April.
End of April.
Mid-ish April, when we got almost 3 weeks off, but that's when we got COVID.
So that kind of put a damper on things.
Yeah.
We had plans to go and meet up with some of our instructor friends because a lot of us are from Calgary. So we were all in Calgary together. So we had a great plan to go meet up. We were all going to have this wonderful brunch. And then the morning of, I was feeling not too great a couple days beforehand, but I would test and I was testing negative. And then the morning we were supposed to meet up with everybody. I tested again and I tested positive for COVID. I was like, no. And I felt like I was ruining all the plans. And then, of course, one of our other instructor friends, he was like, I'm not feeling so hot either. I'm going to test myself. And even though we hadn't seen him in over a week, he tested positive too. So yeah, you didn't test positive for a few more days, but
yeah, it took another couple days for me to test, but of course we were living together, so it was just safest to not go. So yeah, that brunch just fell through, which
unfortunately.
Yeah, it was sad because they had a beautiful spread.
It was a feast,
prepared.
yeah.
But we're all going, spoiler alert, we're all going to be back in Calgary very soon.
Yep.
Yes. So let's fast forward to May. So May was the 3rd phase that we were doing in Vancouver for us. Then that was my 2nd class as well. So my first class, I ended up being a float for
your first
phase 1.
Yeah.
Then for the next phase, I ended up getting my own class, which meant I was teaching, with the same class every day with my same teaching partner, which was very enjoyable for me. I could kind of like see the growth, see them go through the different lesson plans, the different practical exercises.
You get to see the light bulb go off. So it's like you get to, oh, now they get it. Like, oh, they understand a concept. And it's like, ding. I love that part. Yeah. So I'm glad you got to experience that.
So that was fun. I enjoyed being afloat, but then just being able to be present with the same people. You really create these bonds as well with the people. And, you know, we were just back in Calgary and we met up with 2 of my former participants.
Yep.
You know, we've met up with your former participants before. One of them had us over for supper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember when it was April, May? I don't know. The months kind of just meld in together, but he was very, very welcoming and had us over for dinner. We just met up with 2 of my previous participants in Calgary for some drinks. So that was just, I can say that I've made some great friends from these former participants. So that's very nice. That's an extra bonus. Not to say that we are friends with every single person that we've trained, but some of them are just lovely humans and just you want to keep them in your life.
No, absolutely. And of course, we've mentioned it many times before. We made some great friends with some of the instructors that we didn't know before we started the initial training experience. My teaching partner, for example, we met on the Friday before initial started, and this was going back to phase 1. And then we were teaching together on the Monday. So we met on Friday. We didn't see each other over the weekend. Then we were teaching together on the Monday. And then we taught 5 phases together, and we had a great time, great experience the whole time. So we definitely have made some good friends as instructors as well as some of our former participants.
Yeah, no, it's a nice bonus that I didn't know about, I didn't expect. But that's, you know, the beauty of things. When you don't expect things, it just makes it even better.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But then, you know, being in Vancouver, we've been able to enjoy a lot of nice things. You know, in May, we been together, all the instructors, for a couple phases at that point. So we decided, let's plan a trip to Seattle.
Yeah. So there was 8 of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So we drove down, 2 or 3 cars. I don't know. A lot of people drove down.
3
we
or
brought
4
the
cars?
dogs.
3 cars. Yeah.
We stayed all together in an Airbnb.
Yeah. 2 dogs and 8 of us. Yeah. It was great. The Seattle Mariners.
Yeah. We saw the Mariners, the baseball, in case you didn't know. That was my first baseball game, so that was really fun. I mean, it's in the States. A lot of hoopla, even though it was like, was it a preseason game or
No, it was regular season. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, but it was like so much hoopla, so much like
the Mariners.
fanfare.
The Mariners won in extra innings, so it was a fun experience to be there.
The free baseball that I learned about, you know, so that was just, you know, fun. You drink, you have lots of snacks, and then you just sit and watch food. I mean, it's just for the experience, really, for me, but it was enjoyable. It was a lot of fun. We walked around Seattle.
Well, you got to go to the Starbucks roaster. What's it called? You know what I'm trying to say.
Well, in Seattle, there's because in case anybody didn't know, it was the birthplace of Starbucks.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of weird. But it's where Starbucks originated. So they have the original Starbucks location, which I didn't go to. But it's right near the Pike Market. That's what it's called.
Yeah, Pike Place Market.
Yeah, which you
It's
can
famous,
imagine why you know one of the roasts in Starbucks is called Pike Place. Then there's also a Starbucks Reserve is what they call it. It's not the only place that they have these stores, but it's essentially a bougie-er Starbucks and a much bigger Starbucks. So this one that they have in Seattle actually has a full bar menu, like an actual alcoholic bar where you can get, of course, espresso martinis and other cocktails. You can get pizzas and beautiful pastries, a lot of merchandise as well, and just a lot of seating area and a very gorgeous, beautiful coffee shop essentially, but like coffee shop on crack.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I actually have one of the mugs here. Had to get a souvenir, of course.
Oh, obviously.
So yeah, I mean, don't want to make this description too long, but that was one of the things that we experienced, a group of people going down to Seattle because it's only about an hour and a half. No,
about 2 hours. Yeah.
2 hours drive, including the border. Well, plus the border time, which at the time that we went took us about an hour and a bit. But then the drive down, very close. You went plane spotting there.
With Alberto. Yeah. We went, we were trying to catch the 777X, which is like a newer version of the 777 where the wings kind of flex up like the 787. We were trying to catch that. We didn't catch it on our plane spotting, but then Alberto caught it when they were leaving Seattle the next day. So that was cool for them.
Yeah.
Or later that day, I forget. But yeah.
A good place for aviation lovers.
Seattle, Boeing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, we came back here initial. And then for some random reason, a coincidence of sorts, most of the instructor team's birthdays were in May and June,
like Taurus and Gemini.
So I think
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us.
Yeah.
I
had their birthdays in June, May and June. So for that specific phase, almost every week we had a new birthday. So a new celebration, cake, donuts, balloons, everything. We just celebrated because we were each other's bubble, family, friend when we're here.
For the whole year,
initial bubble. And we were intense in that initial bubble. So that was a lot of fun. Then had a couple weeks off after that. Went back to Montreal.
Was that when we went? Did you go or did we both go? I don't remember.
No, we both went. Then came back for July and August. Had the summer training.
Yeah.
Then, of course, that's a lot of fun. I think the participants had a lot of fun too because, summer in Vancouver, how beautiful. And I forgot to mention the whale watching though in June.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's another thing. Alberto, friend of the podcast, he organized this whale watching tour where we were.
How many of us were
I don't
there?
know, I think there was 10 or 15.
Yeah, there was. I'd say like a dozen, 12 or 13, because Mish came as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he booked it where we rented a Zodiac basically, and we went. We had to sail, drive, whatever. We went boating for about an hour. We were close to Victoria, actually. They told us after the path we took to go whale watching, and we actually ended up following a pod of orcas. We followed them for a good solid hour, close to 2 maybe. And there was 4 orcas, and they were giving us the history of that family / pod of orcas. We got some great pictures of that as well. We'll throw a couple more up here from our camera rolls here. And yeah, that was another great experience. We had a lot of fun. We saw some eagles on that trip. We saw a couple cool things.
Yeah, so that was a great experience. Something that I've always wanted to do. I've been whale watching for humpback whales before, but orcas, whole different species, of course, and just clearly distinguishable as orcas. No other species looks like orcas, and they're just gorgeous creatures and very interesting as well to learn about any kind of wildlife. So we had a lot of information, and that was fun because it was just us in that boat, our whole crew, nobody that we didn't know. So that just made it a lot of fun, and we just had snacks, and some of us fell asleep. Not Jeremy. Someone else was fully asleep when the boat was going up and down through waves. So we all were just dying laughing because who sleeps during that?
Yeah. And didn't we go out the night before? So I think a few of them were like hungover.
I don't remember particularly. We were going out that evening because we kind of celebrated my birthday that weekend. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And then end of August finished that phase, and then we started this new.
The latest one was September until the end of October.
Yeah, which we just finished, and that marked the end of Initial for us for the year of 2022, which I think we were all kind of ready for it to end, just because Initial is a lot of work. We're we're present. We have to be on.
You have to be on, definitely.
If that makes sense. You're because you're, portraying the company, the airline. You have to, of course, wear the uniform the most impeccably. Your grooming is impeccable, but your attitude, your behaviors, you're presenting yourself as what you expect your participants to be.
Yep.
So you can't act a fool. You can't show up half prepared. You can't be sleeping, during your lesson plans. You can't, show up with, half of your uniform dirty or ripped or not even there. You're showcasing yourself in your best way. Not that we're not that when we work, but it's like the different kind of pressure that you feel when you're working and teaching initial. So that was, that for a whole year, which of course we have fun and we of course interact with our participants and we've created bonds, but you have to make that impression on them, because if you show up and half-ass it,
you can't.
You
just can't.
Well, you lose respect instantly.
Respect, credibility. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was, it's just a lot for a whole year, and it's back to back to back. And, we've had difficulties with, some participants, and then some sad things. A lot of sad things happened just, in initial and in our personal lives as well. And, of course, we're living here, which is great, but we're not at home. If, we wanted to be home in our things, we had to fly, and bringing Roxy everywhere. It's just, it's also a lot. So coming to essentially what is going on after this. So November, we're clearly still here. This is November 1st today.
Yep.
And what's happening after November?
Well, funny enough, I'm teaching initial, but for this month, for the month of November, but it's not a full initial like we've been doing before. It's basically employees that are coming back to work after an extended period of time. So it's not all the hoopla of what a real full initial is. It's condensed into a couple weeks. So once November finishes, we are going back to Calgary and going back flying.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Oh boy. It's really scary. I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous. Now that I've been teaching initial, I feel like there's going to be a new kind of pressure and
Did I warn you about that?
Eyes on me. You've mentioned it a lot, but now I feel like I'm going to feel it definitely when I go back flying. And I mean, with the layoff of over a year, close to a year and a half, and then being here for over a year, that's a lot of not flying.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to not relearn the job, but just get used to it all again.
It's a different pace of working. It's not waking up at the same time every day and going into work at the office and doing your shift and then going home. Now it's preparing. You have to prepare the day before for when you're going to go to bed so that you're more awake and alert on your flights if you're going to be doing a later flight. And then it's showing up at work, and then the highs and lows, the super, super busy time at boarding, and then we take off. Oh, now we start service. So, okay, now after service. Oh, now we're preparing for descent. Okay, now we land, and now we're so it's a whole different ballgame, literally, when we're flying. So it's that change of pace that we're going to have to adjust to. And then layover, go to sleep, wake up, do it all again. Where are you going to be? Are you going to be overseas? Are you going to be somewhere in Canada, the US, Hawaii? Who knows? And so again, it's a new adjustment that we've done before. We know the job, but we haven't done that job consistently for over 2 years, 2.5 years, really.
Yeah, exactly. And now, with the job we have Roxy.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting because we're going to have to build our schedules, the two of us, to essentially have opposite days off, which is going to be also very different and difficult because for the past couple years, COVID, then working here, we've been together almost 24/7 for a really long time.
Yeah, there are very few days and like never more than 3 or 4 days in a row, but I can only count a handful of times that we were apart for even a couple days. You went to visit Montreal once or twice. And I had to go back to Calgary every now and then for a weekend. But yeah, we've been really joined at the hip for almost a couple years now.
Yeah, and with Roxy too, she's been with us the whole time. You know, we got her right at the layoff. We had her through COVID, and then we've had her here. So it's going to be weird, you know, finishing work for the day and not going home.
Yeah.
Like going home to you and the dog.
Yeah.
But that's the life we signed up for.
That's the life, then the life we love, right?
Yeah. So
the lifestyle of a flight attendant.
I'm like looking forward to it, but also not. And we talked about it on the walk tonight, but we're also going back flying in December, and December means Christmas time, the holidays.
Yeah.
It's the busiest month of the year. So I am really dreading, you know, essentially being thrown back in. I'm not easing back into flying.
No,
I am
we're going full force. Yeah.
Like, here you go back and deal with all of the crazy holiday flyers.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to see what flying we'll be doing. I'm trying to hold overseas, Frankfurt, London. You're trying to hold anything, you know, just some days off here and there. So yeah, it'll be fun.
So in case there's like continuity error here, the camera just stopped working. So we're back. So let's ask Jeremie the question that may have been cut out. Jeremie, what was your least favorite moment of the past year?
So least favorite moment would be we had to say goodbye to a lot of people, pets. We unfortunately we experienced a lot of death in the last year. It's been hard.
Yeah, loss is definitely something that's hard to deal with, but grieving very important people and pets, essentially loved ones, people that were part of our lives, family members, friends. Doesn't matter if they're human or not, they're important. And yeah, grieving while you're in front of, you know, the instructor, as the example and everything is really difficult, because for me personally, I can't really hide my emotions. If I'm mad, you can tell. If I'm sad, you can tell. If I'm happy, you can tell. I can't like fake it in, like, if I'm feeling an intense emotion it's hard for me. So people definitely could tell at work at some points. So yeah, so that was hard, because professionally you don't want to portray a negative anything, so it was difficult.
Yeah, just a little hurdle.
That would definitely be my worst thing this year. It was just, you know, constant
one
being
thing
busy,
after another,
and then it's like that happened. Oh, guess what? This too. Okay, okay.
Surprise! This too.
Yeah, it was just like I feel like for like the 6 months in the middle of the year, something happened almost every month to couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like I think from like March to August.
Yeah.
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 Whew. Anyways, it's just been a really fun, exciting, different and a year, and I'm really thankful for it. Essentially,
yeah.
I'm really glad I finally got to be in the training, see the training part of things, and be a trainer and go through it. And I'm actually really happy that I get to experience other types of training this month.
Not just initial. Yeah.
I get to do what I have to do myself every year. I get to do annual recurrent training and help out in different areas and see kind of the day-to-day trainer life instead of the initial trainer life, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a nice way to end it as well. So thankful, happy, but I think it's time for us to go back.
Yeah, go back and do some flying and do what we were originally hired to do.
Yeah. So I think that wraps up today's episode. It was just kind of a year in.
Initial year in review.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're out there flying, remember.
Always be nice to your flight attendants, because it might be one of us next month.
And they might have to save your butt one day.
Thank you. Roxy, do you want to say
goodbye?
Goodbye. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts. We have new episodes every Wednesday. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Moderate Turbulence on Instagram, at Mod Turbulence on Twitter, and follow us individually on Instagram at HuffyJ and at La Delvie. Thank you.